Hi, my name is Priscilla Castro, and my topic today is divorce effects on child development. And I'm going to be going ahead and debating the no side. The specific topic or subtopic that my partner Ruby and I have chosen is if divorce disrupts family structure during an adolescent child during this time, and if it has a detrimental effect on their development. So, some background research on divorce. Divorce has become a much more common norm in our current day and age, and the stigma of divorce, being labeled as being a broken home or a nuclear family, is no longer the standard. And since 2021, divorce and marriages have both decreased. Research has estimated that roughly 41% of first marriages end in a divorce, and 86 divorces occur every hour. So the three themes that I'm going to be going ahead and covering today are the behavioral, emotional, and development, and the academic outcomes that sometimes might occur with children, living arrangements, family status, family structure, and family transitions in general, the relationship between a child and the parent, or the relationship between the parents and how that might reflect onto the child. So some additional research that I did is an article that I have found. It was a longitudinal study of adolescent adjustment following family transitions. Actually, this one was provided per the course, and it's Arguing the No Side by Ida Rushina, Margaret Pryor, Ann Sanson, and Diana Smart. And if divorce or disruption in the family structure during adolescence have detrimental effects on the development is what I'm going to be focusing on. So the meta-analysis. Mothers of all infants between the ages of 4 and 8 months who have frequented particular infant welfare centers during a 2-week period where they were invited to participate in the experiment, which started in 1983. 1,310 parents and 1,260 teenagers answered the surveys by 2000, and when the intended participants were between the ages of 17 and 18. Participants were questioned regarding the adolescents' life transitions and such whatever the parents had divorced, separated, possibly passed away, or remarried, whether step-siblings were present in the picture, and how many times the adolescent had to move from homes, schools, change environments, and how much they had in contact between the non-residential parent. For my second slide, the second part of the meta-analysis, participants were questioned during their experience of a variety of family transition, including death of a parent, separation, divorce, remarriage of one or both parents, and the additional step-parent relationship, and if they have possible step-siblings, as well as house moves and whatnot, and the small effect size, frequently temperament in the result, despite the fact that the numerous research in the literature had discovered notable adverse consequences. In other words, the great majority of children from broken homes are going to be capable adults who can perform the majority areas, even though with a tiny percentage of them frequently observed to be functioning worse than their counterparts from intact families. The study emphasizes the resilience of numerous youths have experienced societal and personal upheavals, which was all measured with a questionnaire scale. So, behavioral outcomes. Negative behavior consequences are often the main focus, I feel, when it comes to majority published work regarding family transitions, and specifically in that type of field. But positive behaviors in the area of social competence were also investigated in this study and were hyperfixated on. So once more, the two groups were similar in terms of traits such as empathy, self-control, responsibility, and competitiveness. In contrast to the findings, many researchers in the field who have found that children and adolescents who have undergone transition significantly were worse off in terms of behavioral adjustments. There was no group differences of internalization, externalization, or overall behavior problems between the ages of 17 to 18 years old. Between the ages of 3 to 18 years old from transition families scored similar to fellow peers with intact families, and the two groups were similar in terms of traits such as empathy, self-control, responsibility, and cooperativeness. The family status comparison group. So according to T-tests, the family transition group had a much higher socioeconomic status, SES, in 1983 than those in the non-participating groups, which revealed a very easy/difficult temperament scale from 4 to 8 months of age, as well as the approach rhythmically, collaboration, activity, reactivity, and irritable temperament dimensions. There were no discernible variations. Therefore, it may have influenced their continuation that transition groups seem to have higher SES than non-participating groups. And when it came to every component of functioning that was evaluated at the study enrollment, the two groups were very compatible. The income of a household frequently declines after divorce, especially for custody parents. The financial needs of a dual-income household might be easier for a single-income household. A family might be forced to relocate to a less appealing location or smaller living space due to financial difficulties. A child's schooling, friendships, and sense of stability might be affected by so. So a feeling of loss and instability might be very stressful to the child or adolescent. And I feel like these variables were considered in the longitudinal study, which I definitely wanted to also very much emphasize on, and I feel as though the study did do a very good job covering those bases. Divorce group and parental death group in comparisons. 31 participants from the sample had parental death in comparison to 50 random samples, which was to have a better understanding between a transition family and an intact family. There is no significant difference between the three groups regarding overall behavior problems and internally and externally, and specifically teens from 17 to 18. Many things that were considered were gender and number of transitions that the adolescent may have undergone during these trying times of their life. So some additional research that I did on my own was a peer review article, Factors Affecting Resilience in Namibian Children Exposed to Parental Divorce, a Q methodology study by Janine Van Schillock and Shalene Jen. So 2 schools in Windhoek, children between the ages from 9 to 12 whose parents had been divorced for 2 to 4 years were sampled. 24 children were selective, but 12 children were scored. 50% of the participants were girls and the other 50% were boys. Measured by statements regarding the parents' education, the educational institutions, the 2 educational institutions, and the community overall. Numerous sociological mechanisms in the children's surroundings had also been shown in this research. Potentially might be shielding kids from negative effects of seeing parental divorce. Children's ability to develop resilience and are largely dependent on a variety of systems, particularly proximal ones like family and extended family, the school, friends, and a larger sense of community. And furthermore, these participants perceive the familiar environment generally safe and loving, and is evident by the next 2 highest scored statements: my family loves me, and I feel safe and loved at home. One thing that I did want to go ahead and emphasize on with this research that I did find is the overall research when doing the surveys was all based on strongly agree, and specific quotes like, do I feel loved? Do I not feel loved? How do I feel in the at-home environment? And these 2 were the largest statements between the participants. So I feel like these are a few variables when considering this topic and in this debate. conflict to prior transition in the household, the parent and child relationships prior to the transition, the child or the parent's temperament prior to transition, the child's age, gender, mental health prior, child's social support prior to transition, the economic standing or SES understanding, and the cultural norms in the household or amongst the family. The conclusion that I kind of came amongst, essentially, despite these findings, it was argued that the consequences of a divorce remain inclusive and may depend on the presence of a particular risk and proactive factors. The family continues to play a crucial role in the socialization of a child during the middle of childhood. Furthermore, research on parental divorce continues to be predominantly conducted from perspective in adolescent adults, emphasizing the need for studies to explore younger children's perspectives on their experiences of parental divorce. Stress, worry, and emotional instability are common in kids who see ongoing parental disagreement, according to research. These studies can result in long-term problems such as trouble establishing wholesome relationships, controlling emotions, and children are more likely to flourish emotionally when divorce lessens the level of conflict due to the fact that they are not focused to deal with these stressors of poisonous households. Children watch from their parents and learn from their relationships, and parents may unintentionally set an example of undesirable behaviors such as poor communication, disrespect, temperament, anger, or simply a high conflict marriage.